Hi, this is Christopher Spera, and this is the iTechGear Weekly, episode number 70. All I want for Christmas is a 32 gig stick. Recorded live Sunday, December 3rd, 2023, live from iTechGear Central. And as I said, I am Christopher Spera, the editor-in-chief over at iTechGear.org. And joining us this week, all the usual suspects, including, and not limited to, the former contributing writer over at Gear Diary and currently editor over here at iTechGear.org and the host of the Linux Link Tech Show and Living in the Retro Arcade podcast, Brother Joel McLaughlin. How are you, sir?
I am doing fine, and I've got a lock from my fridge to keep the damn cat out. And he's going to be sorely disappointed this week.
Well, he'll just have to get over it, won't he?
Yes, he will.
Yes.
Hey, he's easygoing.
You know, well, yes, he is, but you know he's going to get in the doggone thing again anyway.
I don't know. Not unless I leave it unlocked, but
well,
so
well,
but I am preparing for the holiday season. Did a lot of Christmas shopping today. I'm almost done. And planning for the holiday and the last retro arcade show of the year, which will probably record a short one after this show. Awesome. So look for that. Don't know what it's going to be on yet because, well, I have no idea.
Good, though.
It is.
It'll be random. So
and that voice out yonder, those lovely dulcet tones, the former contributing editor over at Gear Diary and Pocket Now, and currently editor over at iTechGear.org, Mr. Chris Gavula. How are you, sir?
Oh, is that me?
That's you.
That you.
It sounds way more impressive than it is in reality, right?
Oh, yes.
I'm good. How are you? How are you this evening?
Just ducky.
Just ducky? Is that what we got?
Ducky.
You don't want to be goosey or anything? You're just going to be ducky?
I'm just going to be ducky.
Okay. Just got to make sure we get that straight.
Better than to be in a turkey.
I'm going to put on my pretty in pink, and I'm going to be just ducky.
You had to go make a John Hughes reference. You had to go to a John Hughes reference. Well, there we go.
I did.
But we're good, though. But we're good. We're good.
That's it. And last but certainly never, ever least, the former co-owner over at WUGNET Publications, currently editor at iTechGear.org, Dr. Mr. Larry McJunkin. How are you, sir?
I actually am a little sad today. I know it's the holidays and I should be happy, but I got a call from a friend. If you guys remember last week, we talked about this. And my friend starts out with, "Hey, Larry, I just got an email from Apple. And he said they were going to take away all of my pictures and delete them if I didn't upgrade my storage." I said, "You didn't give them your credit card info, did you?" "Well, yeah, I didn't want to lose all my photos." Of course. So I told her to cancel the credit card. Luckily, it was quick enough that the bad actor hadn't charged anything yet, but this could have gone south in a heartbeat. And another reminder, folks, it's the holidays. Don't fall for these things.
And we're seeing a massive uptick of them lately. I got to tell you.
Absolutely, we are.
So
absolutely, we are. And I want to take just a quick moment and remind everybody that we have recently put out an article on how to stay safe online. And I will include that link again in the show notes. It's that important for everyone. There's six things in 6 steps in there that you really need to go ahead and take a long, hard gander at, memorize them, commit them to memory if you can, and bookmark the page, because that information is always going to be there. But those are things that you really need to pay attention to. This time of year is rampant with people, calling you out of nowhere saying this is pick a big tech company and we're going to do this if you don't cough up the dough. And of course, like Larry just said, of course she gave them the
scare tactic is it really works on the elderly. It really, really does. I mean,
Because you're
And
not
it's
sure.
horrible.
You're
And
not
it's
sure. You
No,
just think
you're
you have
not.
to. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
and
don't
it's
know that
horrible
you didn't forget.
that
Yep.
happens to folks.
It does.
Um,
It does. It's very,
but
very
it's
difficult.
very common. It's very common. If somebody calls you and asks you for a credit card number or any kind of banking information or any kind of information that you may be uncomfortable giving out online, don't do it. All right. The IRS is never going to take payments, A, over the phone, and B, they don't take them in Apple gift certificates. Okay. They
Right.
don't take them in Apple gift cards. It just doesn't happen.
Folks, they have to notify you in writing for anything anyway. So
Yes.
you would never get a phone call.
If the IRS wants you, A, they will go ahead and send you a piece of paper mail through the USPS
sure
first. All right. They will do that first. All right. And then you'll start getting, and every piece of communication that you have with them will likely be done through the mail. All right. Unless you go into other kinds of things where they demand to meet with you, but you'll get that notice through the mail. All right. Through standard United States Postal Service mail. So there you go. And again, they're never going to take payments in Apple gift cards.
In Apple gift cards.
Nope.
I would love to go ahead and, well, are you ready to make your first payment, Mr. Spera? Yes, I am. Here I am here at the IRS office. I brought all the Apple gift cards I could get my hands on.
Yeah, like that'll ever be the case. Oh my goodness.
Right.
Yeah, so I will go ahead. Staying Safe Online is available on iTechGear.org. It's an article, very good security article written by Mr. Larry McJunkin. Please read it, and I will have that in the show notes at the top, just above the Apple segment. And speaking of credit cards, kids,
Where are we now?
Great segue.
Thank you.
Great.
Brother Joel, did you hear? Did you hear that Apple and Goldman Sachs are scheduling their divorce?
That's what I heard. Yeah, and I think personally, I think it was probably inevitable because how many of you actually ever heard of Goldman Sachs doing anything in the consumer area?
Oh, it surprised me. It surprised me in 2019 when they started all of this mess. It surprised me because they're more of a corporate-based bank.
Usually they are, yeah.
You know, but from
and
what
it makes much more sense for Chase to be doing the card stuff than it does.
Or Synchrony. They do it all the time.
Yeah.
They do retail
cards. I think
cards
Apple was looking for a big name. I mean,
sure
not
they were.
just a common name, but a big name.
They were looking for that elite name. All right.
That's what they were looking for. Goldman Sachs
they were looking
that.
for the elite name, the one that's going to go ahead and say, you know, hey, we are not just going to hand this out to everybody and their brother that applies.
Right.
All right.
Even though they did, kind of. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know, there were some folks out there that at the time I would consider to have better than well qualified credit. All right. And they expected to have a high limit. All right. Somewhere above $5,000 to $10,000, and they only got like a couple grand. All right.
Yep.
Right.
Nobody really understood how Goldman Sachs was A, approving cards, and B, at what limits. And I still don't think that anybody knows or understands, but
well, along that very same line, I was one of the first, I think, that applied. And my wife and I have always had identical joint credit. I mean, for literally since we got married in 1978. My God, that's years. And so I got an Apple card, and we both have actually we're within 4 points of the identical credit score, and it's right up there. It's at the top. And I got a card with X dollars limit. She applied for her own card back before there was the joint card, and she got a card for literally half of what mine was. Now you figure that one out.
Yeah,
that doesn't make sense.
It didn't make any sense to me.
I don't think Goldman Sachs has really understood the space ever.
No,
You know?
they truly haven't, and it's been kind of sort of problematic overall. But according to the articles that are out there right now, Apple plans to stop working with Goldman Sachs in the next 12 to 15 months. And it's not clear if Apple has established a new partnership for the Apple Card yet. It could be Chase, it could be Synchrony, or it could be somebody else. All right. Both of those are very good candidates for this, but this apparently affects not only the Apple Card itself, but the Apple savings account.
Yep, I got stuff in there too.
You know, they apparently Goldman has that account as well, and it sounds like they want to get out of consumer banking altogether, period.
Right.
All right. Which I find disappointing. I have an Apple savings account, and I've got a nice little start of a nest egg in there.
Yeah,
And
I mean 5% Why wouldn't you transfer?
It's 4.15.
Is that what it is? Okay, whatever.
Yeah, it's 4.15 is, well, at least what I'm getting is 4.15%. If it's any higher than that, may be based on your credit, but I've got 4.15%, and they compound that daily, pay it out monthly, and I'll tell you that the last my interest payment last month on the balance that I had was more money than was more interest payment to me than I had even when after my aunt gave me executive control over her estate after she passed, and a lump sum had come to me. It's amazing. All right. The general savings account interest is now like 0.01%. Right.
And by the way, I'm at 4.15 too.
Yes, it's absolutely horrible. And
so
for somebody to offer 4 or 5% on a savings account is amazing. I've got to figure out they're gonna have a way for you to transition everything. If you want to keep it through Apple, I know they will.
One would hope. Yes.
All right.
Yes, and I think
more than likely they'll just go ahead and just transfer everything over.
Or this might make the Apple graveyard. We don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because here's the other thing too that was part of the article on Mac Rumors. It says U.S. Consumer Financial Protection Bureau launched an investigation into Goldman Sachs due to customer complaints leading to tension with Apple. Apple is unhappy with the customer service reputation of its Apple Card and Apple Savings products, while some Goldman Sachs executives blame Apple for the regulatory scrutiny. Well, no.
Goldman, I found that was interesting.
This is what you get.
Apple partnered with them
because consumer things.
Yeah, Apple partnered with them because Apple is not a banking expert, and they knew they weren't a banking expert.
That's true, but they said back then, we are doing this because we want to offer our soon-to-be new users a way to save 3% in our retail stores and online. And that's the biggest reason they did that. And it works. I mean, that's a lot of money on a $2,000 computer.
It is.
The biggest problem that Goldman has with this is they're not able to charge any of the standard fees.
But they knew that walking in the door. So why is this a problem? That's what I don't understand.
Well, the problem is they didn't know that they knew.
Yeah, apparently not.
Yep, there you go.
And I put that on Goldman Sachs. That's not.
That's their own fault. I'm with you. I totally agree.
Completely their own fault. And I have a big issue. Poor bazillionaires. All right. Poor bazillionaires. You know, I mean, really, come on. You know, you're busy screaming and moaning that you're not making hand over fist in fees throughout all of this.
Mm-hmm.
Because Apple told you no. Well, then why the hell did you get into the damn business in the first place?
Yeah, that one would like to know that.
Well,
That's
at
for
this
sure.
point, my advice to Goldman Sachs would be nice, don't talk bad about Apple, take whatever they give you, get the hell out of the deal, and move on.
Because
Yes.
legally,
Yep.
they don't have much ground to stand on if they
That's
complain
right.
about it.
Not at
You're
all.
so right.
They just don't. So they need to get over it really, really
Yes,
fast.
they do. Yes, they do. And just move on. If you're
Mhm.
gonna whine about it, you know, I am a big proponent of having the sign on my desk. No whining. All right.
There you go.
No
Yeah.
whining. All right.
Well,
Everybody
you know-
here is an adult. And if you're going to whine about something, you're going to lose the argument. I don't care if you're right or not. Don't whine.
Yeah, I tell people about that when they complain about their jobs every day. If you don't like it, then do something different. Yeah, sitting here and whining doesn't solve your problem. And the
No.
same thing, I say the same
Yep.
thing to Goldman. This
Yeah.
does not solve your problem. You created this problem. You got into this. You understood the situation, or you thought you did. Apple didn't do anything subversive or
No.
behind your back or anything like that. Nothing. It was all you. You created
Right.
these products.
Mhm.
Right. Right. And
They were all glitter-eyed that they were going to do a deal with Apple, and they just forgot to do the
Exactly.
due
they
diligence.
didn't pay
got
attention to what was going
swept
on.
under the table.
Yeah,
They
right.
just didn't pay
Exactly.
attention.
Right.
So,
So-
and they're supposed to understand it. It's their business.
Yeah.
They're supposed to understand it.
Yeah.
I don't know, I don't know what to tell them, okay. So yeah, I would say, you need to get over it and move on.
Let it come to Chase, let it come to Synchrony. They're
Yeah.
both good companies. They're both good consumer credit companies, and have experience in dealing with the public. All right. There
Pretty
you go.
much.
Thank you very much. So
Mhm.
So there we go.
yeah, and you'll see changes coming to this will be probably a huge thing in
Yeah.
iOS 18 and the next version of macOS 15, whatever they decide to call it.
Yeah, and right now none of us really know what this is going to
No.
look like, right? We really
Right.
just don't. But I don't think anybody is thinking,
wouldn't
I'm going to lose.
worry.
I'm not going to lose my
No.
money tomorrow. I'm not going to.
No.
I'm not
nobody's
gonna-
going to lose
right.
their money. Nobody's going to lose
Right.
their money.
And I think, if you've got a card and you still owe payments on it, you're still going to owe payments on it. So keep your payments up. Don't play games with
Yeah,
it.
and don't throw your money out of savings right away. Keep making that 4.15%
exactly.
because it's going to
There's
be there for
12
another
to
year or
15
more.
months, right? 12 to
Right.
15 months yet. Do you know how much you're going to make in compounded interest if you keep on A, putting money in, and B, leaving the money that you put in there? All right.
So I'd say that's where we are, and leave it alone for now. Don't panic. They'll tell us what our choices are soon enough.
Right.
Yep.
And when that happens, that data, all that data that is related to that is going to be protected by some level of encryption. And speaking of protecting personal data, from what I understand, there were three very important Apple related OS updates. I'm looking at iOS 17.1.2 and iPad OS 17.1.2 and Sonoma 14.1.2 that have stopped browsers from leaking personal data. Now, Chris, this is something I know that is near and dear to everybody's hearts, at least here at iTechGear. Can you help us understand a little bit about what was going on and what happened?
Well, it's another one of the. It's a thing that's happened over and over with a lot of different browsers. Is that it's that it's basically they have this kind of overrun condition, and the overrun condition allows them to either launch executable code, or it lets them just access the data that's on the device in question. None of it's unusual, unfortunately. I wish they were a little more unusual. This particular one attacked WebKit, their open source, the open source thing that a lot of browsers on their platforms are based around, and that's a problem, guys. So it's one of those. So they released patches pretty quickly, all things considered, and the recommendation is go there. Do not stop go. Do not stop at go. Do not collect your $200. Just keep going.
Just keep going. Right. And it's nice. So this is what I like. I mean, we just had iOS and iPad OS 17.1.1 come out not too long ago. And honestly, I had heard this through somebody else, just in passing. I wasn't part of the conversation. I was literally passing somebody else who said to someone in a store that I was in, hey, did you install that latest update for iOS? And I expected them to say 17.1.1, and they came up with .2, and I'm like, well, hang on a minute. Let me check my well, doggone, look at that.
Well, and again, Apple doesn't make you wait a month. When it's ready, it's out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So this impacts processing web content, may disclose sensitive information. Apple is aware of a report that this issue may have been exploited against versions of iOS before iOS 16.7.1. Go ahead.
Well, I want to say, and folks, this particular one is against WebKit and exposing things through that. But right. I will tell you, there have been a rash, just like we said at the top of the podcast. There have been a rash of browser-based problems, not just with this particular set of browsers. Right. There was a whole slew. There's been articles this week about exploits against all the Google-based products, the Chromium kind of based things, Edge, Chrome. Anything based on those. There's been problems all in the last few weeks. Again, this is the time of year these exploits go up. Yeah. Keep yourself up to date. Keep yourself, and but beware, because on the side of this, there have been also in the last few weeks, if not months, a number of fake updates where you'll get an email saying, "Hey, you need to upgrade, or else." Don't let yourself get suckered into that.
No, the best place to look for any updates, and actually the only way that you can install them, is not through a link in an email that you get sent, but in settings for your settings general software update on your iOS device, or in system settings on your Mac. All right, again, general, and then software update.
Yep.
So if you're going to go and check, don't install anything unless you get it through your system settings or your device settings. Number one, and number two, please, again, this is the important staying safe online kind of thing, right? Please go and look at that particular article in the show notes and on iTechGear.org. It's gonna save your bacon. All right, go run. Run, don't walk.
As we always say.
Yes, and you will be good to go.
Yeah, that works.
And speaking of security stuff, there's
my gosh.
This one thing I have seen, this made not only local news and local news on more than one station here in Chicago, but it made national news as well.
My mother came to me with this, so it's, if my mother saw it, then it's everywhere.
Absolutely. There's been a lot of misinformation about name drop causing lot of people with iPhones with an NFC chip in them, which is anything from a 5S up. Excuse me. To worry about whether or not their personal information is going to get sucked away from them. All right. The answer here is no. It's not. Well, why, Chris? Why is it not going to? Because you have to, if these two iPhones come together, they have to come in within a certain level of proximity, number one. Number two, there's going to be some level of pop-up that comes on your machine, on your device. And number three, in that pop-up is going to be an approve or cancel button.
Right.
All right. Or something appropriate. Approve, deny, cancel, okay, something like that.
Yep.
That is going
to works
to
just like AirDrop, actually. It's the same thing.
Right. that will allow you to either accept it and exchange information, or to get away from it and not accept it. Oh, me and all my excited talking again.
You know, there's this whole thought that, you know, people were like, oh, wait a minute, this thing is going to, like you said, it's going to steal data. It's like photographs stealing your soul. You know, it's the whole concept. It's just not right. It's completely based on a fallacy. So you have to okay it, kids. You have to say it's all right. You're okay. You're going to be fine.
Very true. Very, very true. So don't worry about the security of name drop. Anything and everything that you have heard thus far telling you to be cautious about it,
Dismiss it.
Dismiss it for right now.
Mostly.
You have to approve the transfer. You must approve the swap of information.
Correct.
Yep.
All right. And it's going to probably ask you more than once. So I've not used it yet. I've not had the opportunity to do it yet, but I can guarantee you there's going to be at least one pop-up that says, hey, Chris wants to exchange contact information. Do you want to accept his and exchange yours? You're going to, there's going to be at least one button that says yes.
That's
All
right.
Or no. No.
And I think it's, somebody getting near somebody else saw a pop-up on the screen and got scared, right? Because you saw a pop-up. That probably started the whole rumor mill. But yeah, we're good.
Likely, yeah. I mean, it's, the thing that surprises me is that law enforcement that was spreading this, and it was law enforcement that was spreading this.
It was.
They didn't look any further into it.
No,
I mean,
no, and that's what really bothers me the most about this.
Yeah.
Is that, look, don't talk about this stuff unless you
know
really
what the hell you're talking about.
Unless you really know. I have big
Right.
concerns about something like this, and then something like folks in Congress trying to understand and pass laws about internet safety and privacy and whatever,
or AI or anything like that.
They don't understand it, and unfortunately, the people in power do not understand technology. They don't.
Not.
All right, and they really need to get in touch with folks that do. All right, and have them explain it to them.
Or at least ask
terms.
the questions. Don't assume anything.
Right. Right. So there are two articles here, both from Mac Rumors, on the actual misinformation and how to on sharing contact details via name drop. So
excellent.
That those will be there to help you guys figure out exactly what to do.
There you go.
So yeah. And I want to go ahead now and move us to our mobile Linux segment. And this is I've been looking forward to this next discussion quite a bit.
Have you?
Because Chris, you've been working with the OnePlus Open, and we announced last show that your article would be published last week. All right. And it was. All right. It came out on the 28th. And you gave us some first impressions, but you've been continuing to work with this device.
Sure.
And continuing to use it on a daily basis. Give me some more.
Yeah, well, I know you're excited about possibly looking into one yourself. I know that's been part of your entertainment here. It's an interesting device. Like I said last week, it slots in kind of between in the North American market, it slots in between the Samsung Z Fold line and the Google Pixel line, and offers some things that neither one really has, but size-wise, it kind of slots in the middle there. And I have found it more and more useful every day. I found it to be a very, very productive device because it's big enough that when you get two screens up at the same time, they're actually practical.
Sure.
I still had the same problem with the Z Fold in that if I got two things running side by side, they're too narrow. They're too freaking narrow. And that would drive me crazy. So this actually, this kind of has sort of almost pictured like a window on over a floating screen. So you just kind of slide over to where you want to be if you want to bring something up as the highlight and make it take up your whole screen and things like that. So there's a lot of flexibility to the way it does multitasking. But it did have a few little, I would call the hardware is really great, but I would say the software is a little less polished than what you see on the Pixel or on the Samsung. Definitely a little less polished. They just released an update a couple of days ago that I'm still kind of working my way through, but they seem to have improved some of the things that were a little bit rougher. Not everything, I think it'll take them time, but
Sure.
they're getting there. But I would say it's no more rough than other phones that are out there. I think it's on par. It's just we're expecting a lot. It's a flagship phone. We're expecting a lot, and it does make it interesting. But I have found myself using this as opposed to the other two devices because the sizing is what I want to see.
Sure.
I will add too, I still have some challenges with all of these folding devices in that what do they perceive as portrait mode? What do they perceive as landscape mode? And the app doesn't always do what I want it to do, or I have to flip it to the other, and I have to turn the device in order to get it to do what I want it to do. The Kindle app from Amazon is notorious for not responding to mode kind of state changes the way it should.
Sure.
On any of the devices I've used for that matter. But I wish they would smoothen that app out a little bit. Samsung has taken their approach has been to force the app to be what they want it to be. That's kind of how Samsung has done it. Google took exactly the opposite approach where they interfere as little as possible and the app kind of does what it's going to do mostly. And this is kind of in the middle, and it gets it right some of the times, it gets it wrong some of the time. But that has more to do with, I'm going to say Google, but it's not really Google. It's more about these app developers and working on larger format devices. They've got to get better at it. The Android platform needs them to get better at it because, one of the things Android is known for is its availability on a lot of different form factors. Unlike Apple, where you basically have two form factors, a phone and a pad. Android has a lot more form factors going on here, and if the apps can't take advantage of it, then why are you even here?
Right.
So they kind of need to get there. They need to do a better job. But that, again, it gets better. You and I both use foldables for going on a couple years now, maybe a year and a half, 2 years from now, and we've seen great development in that space. I mean, it's much better than it was even a year ago or 2 years ago.
Absolutely.
It is much, much better. And Google has led the charge for making better apps. And we need to see more of that. We need to see our app developers. Amazon, I'm talking to you. A lot of the social media apps. I don't use you, but a lot of people complain about your apps. Get your crap together. Come on.
Agree. Hopefully, there will be more coming on the site. Hint, hint. Related to this. I'm really most interested in perhaps a 3 to 6 month look at what's going on with the hinge, right? To see whether or not this device is...
Well, there's two things you want to watch. Hinges is one thing, of course, because it has a very different hinge than some of the other devices do.
Right.
But the other thing you want to watch going forward with any of these foldable devices is you got to watch for what happens if anything gets under the protective screen layers. Pixels go bad, things go bad. So I'm going to be curious going forward how fragile these things will or will not be, going forward. And I've got several of them now to look at. So, it's going to be interesting to see how robust they all are. It's still not as solid a technology as our regular kind of candy bar shaped phones, right? It's not quite as. So it's something to watch, right? And again, you have foldable devices, so you know what I'm talking about as well.
Yeah.
It's you got to watch. Don't play with it in the sand, kids. That's what I'm here to say.
Well, yeah, that's part of it. But more so than that, I want to know right now. One of the things that you had said, and one of the things that had really gotten me interested in potentially looking at this device is, what does the actual hinge look like? Because in the Fold 4, they made hinge adjustments. In the Fold 5, they said that the fold adjustments that they made in it were so far beyond what they did with the Fold 4. I mean, it was night and day. And when you took it did look a heck of a lot better. It was substantially better, but you can still see the crease. All right. And one of the things that I had said is, look, unless there is some level of technology breakthrough in the hinge, all right, that supports that piece of the screen when it's unfolded to push up that dip in the screen, you're gonna have a crease. You're not going to get away from the crease. It folds in half. There's going to be a crease.
Yeah, I'm not sure what they did in this device, because the crease is a tiny fraction of what the crease in the Fold 4 and the Z Fold 4 and the Pixel Fold look like. It's so easy to just not even notice it anymore, and you barely feel it, if at all. You don't feel it. I will say at the top of the bottom where the hinge is at the edge of the screen, there's a tiny bump where the hinge is.
Okay.
And I don't mean in the screen. It's not in the screen. It's on the edge of the device.
Okay.
Tiny little bump. And it may be that they're doing something, much as you say. I can't see in there. But to me, it helps keep crap out of there as far as I'm concerned. But that little tiny bump, I think they're using what? Half the number of pieces that these other hinges are using. I don't know. Something like that, some insanely low number. But the point is, when I'm using it, I do not notice the crease. Now, I've said before, I'm one of those people that I can kind of mentally kind of disassociate myself from the crease and the bump that you feel. But this is really doesn't require much effort on my part to do that at all. This is very, very, very good. Now, as you said, I'll be curious to see how it looks over time. But right now, it's really very, very, very good.
I wouldn't be surprised if there was some level of support that comes up under that crease to hold up and push up that display.
I mean, there's definitely a crease there. Don't get me wrong.
Well,
I mean,
no. Roller thing, kind of
if you hit if you hit the light correctly, you'll see it, but you really have to work to see it, and that's a different thing than before. Before, you didn't have to work to see it.
Right. But and now, like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if there was something underneath.
I will say for the foldables, certainly for the foldables that I've worked with, this is the best, flattest, least noticeable crease that I've seen of any of them. Right. So, and I guess it gets to be, at what point is it good enough, right? That's what you have to kind of say, because I don't think you'll ever have zero. I don't think you can. Right. There'll always be something, but is it good enough? Well, my opinion is, actually, this is good enough, but your mileage may vary.
True. And I must say that you are one of the pickiest people when it comes to tech.
I am. And just because I can overlook it doesn't mean I'm not picky about it and I'm not acknowledging that it's there. This is the best I've seen so far. And for you to be able to say that you can overlook it really indicates that there's something there that is worthwhile. Hope so.
Taking seriously. So.
But I use this device a lot every day, and I've been real pleased with it so far. So we'll see. It's an interesting name in this. It's for most folks in the North American market. We're not heavily involved in this name, the OnePlus name. It's their Western version of Oppo, for lack of a better description. And we'll see where it goes. We'll see where it goes.
Yep.
It's an interesting journey.
Interested and curious to see what more you have to share with us in the coming weeks. So
will do.
All right. Larry, something, moving to our next story, there was something this week that really from Google that really kind of got under the old skin, and you've sort of jumped into the Android area again, and it sounds like things are going very well for you, and you're very pleased with the choices that you've made. And you've always been a Google a contacts, a Google really a Google Apps or a Google Workplace sort of individual, right?
Yeah, I think more than
What's going
anything
on?
is for many, many, many years, I lived in the Apple ecosystem with a couple of toes in the Google ecosphere. And now it's probably about 60-40 now in on the Google side. And
Sure.
it's not like we all say every time we talk about this on the show. I think Chris Gavula first coined it here. It's all about use case. And if you'll follow your use case, don't worry about what device you've got. Just use the device that suits your needs.
And
you'll
can I add a thought to
yeah,
that, Larry?
go ahead.
Because you're absolutely right. And I think I have to say it's not only about use case, because we do say that all the time. I certainly know I've said it over and over and over. But be honest with yourself about what your use case is. Don't prevent yourself from using something just because you think you have a platform preference. Use what works for you. Use the tools that are appropriate for you. Don't let yourself do that.
You know what?
You'll be happier.
It's a little bit away from where we're going with this topic, but I got to add on to that because Chris is so right. Every time in my past life that I have tried to move away from an iPhone and use some sort of an Android flagship phone, I have always kept that iPhone on the desk, and I'll pick it up every now and then, and I'll want to go back to it. This is the very first time in my life that I'm looking at that iPhone, and I can't wait till I can sell it because I really right now don't care about it. I honestly love what I'm using better than the iPhone.
I'm a very strong, Apple advocate in a lot of ways.
Me too. Still am.
I think I'm one of the people that's been telling you, well, what are you doing? What are you trying to do with? I've asked you over and over, what are you using? And well, why are you here if this isn't what you need? Why don't you go to this platform if this is what you need? And you did, and there you went.
I did. And I still use a Mac on the desktop, and I probably will never get away from that because I also have a Windows machine, but they serve two different purposes. But where we're trying to go with this topic is Google recently added some new profile images to their messaging apps. And I'm fine with that. In caveat, I think Google is going to quickly hear the hue and cry about what they've done, but just in case they don't, no, Google, not only no, but hell no. I'm very okay with what you did with profiles. It allows people to use their playful images, express themselves in this environment. But when some goofy photo replaces a treasured photo of my daughter that I have in my Google contacts, which is totally apart from your messaging app, no. That picture pops up every time my daughter calls me. It reminds me of something special. Do not take that away from me. I'm not going to stand still. I get it. There's such a thing as sender control. I think, Chris, you mentioned this.
Yeah, I did.
And it's true, but it's really no more important than recipient control.
But it's about them sending it in messages and letting it come up in messages. It's not about them replacing something on your device. That's not about replacing. Yeah. That's a different animal altogether.
One thing controls what's sent, and the other controls what's seen. And Google does not have the right to alter the personal images we put with our contacts in our address book. I'm sorry, they just don't.
Well, here's you're talking about that, and one of the things when this subject came up in our emails this week, I tried changing my wife has had a orange daisy that she probably got from the Windows 7 days. All right.
I remember those.
And that's what she set as her contact photo. And I went in, purposely changed it to a picture I took that I had in my Google Photos. And it took a while, but today I looked at it and it's actually switched to what I set it to.
Okay.
So I don't know why. The only thing I can gather is my wife doesn't have a profile with Google, for their phone. Because she's an iPhone user, always will be. So,
but Joel, that raises another kind of interesting question that I always have with a lot of this kind of data is that none of these companies, Google, Apple, Microsoft, none of them are very, very clear about what the connections are. Where is this actually connecting to this, and what's using this,
Right.
and how do we get there? And so when
Or
something
how do you
changes,
get your stuff out of it? I mean,
well,
like,
exactly. But when something
you
changes,
know.
we don't know why it changed. Sometimes we just know that
Right.
it did, or where it changed. Where did the source change? Where did it get this information?
Right. Yeah.
I'll give you the example I'll give now is I see this a lot on all my devices where they automatically flag this is some address as home and some address as work. I've never
Right.
flagged them as home or work. So, you used to have to put that in manually and say work is this location, home is this location.
It's
Now
even more complicated when you work from home. But
well,
anyway.
but now it makes, but you're true.
Yeah.
But now it makes assumptions. You don't have to fill that in anymore. It makes these assumptions like, well, why are you making these assumptions? What if this is wrong? How do you correct that? Where is this, where is this happening? So there's a lot, what I'm getting is there's a lot of these things that are not as clear as they used to be. And they're not as directly in our control as they used to be. So this is another one of those examples, like with this replacing thing. I don't want it done unless I say I want it done.
No, if it stays within the Google messaging framework, I'm fine. That's fine. But not
right. Exactly
no,
right. I'm with you. We have so much fun.
I know.
I tell you, it's not a big deal, but it just struck me as something that you shouldn't do. This is, folks, something Apple would never do. This is the difference between two of the big three.
But Microsoft would.
Would they?
Yeah. I absolutely think they would. They've done similar things in terms of how OneDrive takes over and synchronizes even when you don't want it to, things like that. So yeah,
okay, you're probably right.
There are some automatic things that they do that you're like, wait a minute, what's happening here?
And there's no more depth to this. This is it. That's just the whole story. Right. So we'll wait and see. But I'm going to bet that we'll wake up one day and it won't be happening anymore.
But speaking of cloud data.
Oh yeah. Speaking of cloud data, apparently Google Drive is quote unquote mysteriously losing data. Joel,
that's what they say.
Hell,
I've been lucky.
I hear him whining.
I haven't whined at all because I haven't lost.
Not you,
anything.
Chris.
Yeah.
No. There's no whining. There's no whining.
But you
just says Google Drive has lost or misplaced some people's files according to multiple reports.
Allegedly, we got to add that.
Yes.
Well, I think here's the thing with mine. Because Google has made a statement, have they not?
They have.
I think we can say that
they're looking into it. Is all they said.
Oh, I thought they found the culprit.
I didn't read that yet. I heard that
some users are pinning the blame on the inactive account policy, which isn't supposed to go into effect.
Right. That's what I was worried about.
December, which this
today
came out
it started
just at the end of November.
Right. Gotcha. But this has been going on for more than a week or so.
I thought somebody had made a statement
if it was the Google inactive account policy that was kicking in and removing all of that data, then it got kicked off and triggered a little early, number one. And number two, if that were the case, those folks wouldn't be able to log into Drive to see that the data is not there. All right, that account would be closed.
Probably.
Exactly.
Right? So there'd be no way for them to see, or notice that data is missing. They just wouldn't be able to get into the account.
But it could be, given them the benefit of the doubt, it could be some misconfiguration between these two situations. Very possibly.
So my understanding is I could have sworn that I had read, and I could be wrong. I apologize if I am, but I could read.
I'm sorry. What was that again?
I know if you forget the word.
Oh, I'm sorry. So yeah, go ahead.
Is that actually the problem was with the Google Drive app that was creating the issue? That was what I read.
Drive for desktop, right?
That the Drive for desktop app was the issue,
right?
And I thought Google had acknowledged that there was an issue there. Yeah, Google has confirmed that they're tracking the problem, so they're aware of it, but they have not provided a schedule for a fix. That's what I'm reading.
Oh, okay.
Right.
So
that's new for me.
So that's what I just saw. And some people have been having this problem for as much. Well, let me rephrase that. They've lost data as far as 6 months back.
Right. Well, actually, other people have stated that they've lost years.
I've heard that as well.
Of important data. There are several ways
Allegedly,
to recover Google Drive data, but the recovery process doesn't work in this specific situation. Lost files are not located in Google Drive's trash and cannot be synchronized from an offline cache.
But you know what? All you have to do, boys and girls, reach up on your taskbar if you're using a Mac and pause syncing in your Google Drive for desktop, or turn the damn thing off. Just completely until this is over with.
But this gets back to what, again, we say over and over. Back up your data. Do not rely 100% on the cloud. Do not rely 100% on a local drive.
Agree.
Give yourself multiple sources, because stuff happens.
And all I got to say about that is I've lost nothing. In fact, it's done.
Me either.
If it's done anything, it's got me to actually go through inside.
Are you cleaning up now?
That's in? Yes. So, not just because I'm afraid that.
No, but it's a good idea to do regularly anyway. It's a great idea regularly.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is I want to make sure that that I'm only I pay for it. Let's see what I got. I got 2 terabytes of space on Google Drive. It's like I don't want to continue to keep stuff around in there that I don't want or need.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So it's because that's going to take up some space.
Right.
So going through and cleaning that garbage up every once in a while is probably not a bad idea.
No,
digital spring cleaning. It works well.
That is true.
Yeah.
And you can either go ahead and bend a fond adieu to that data during your cleanup, or just throw it off onto another service, or
apparently just ask Google to remove it for you,
or just delete it yourself.
Right.
All right.
Yeah.
True.
So the one thing that I want to make certain is that if you feel that you are affected by this problem, all right, there is a way for you to get some help. All right. We are citing a article here from How to Geek. There is a link in this article for you to submit a support ticket. So go ahead, run through that process, let them know what's going on if you feel that you're affected, and sit tight and wait.
So we're giving folks some assistance. Why?
Because
we like
you.
This is not just the first time we're going to ask that today, too.
That is true.
I am a firm believer in going down that path.
Absolutely. Yes. Absolutely. So, just want to make certain that everybody knows there is a way out. There is a way for you to go and get some help from Google if you feel that you've been affected. Submit a support ticket. There's a link in the article that we are citing. And I want to make certain that you are as proactive as you can be. Your data is important, and I want to make certain that if you feel that some of it is lost, that you go and try to get it back. All right. And the only way that you can try to get it back is by submitting a support ticket. All right. If you feel you're affected. So, but yeah. Moving on now. Apparently, again, Larry, you have been just discovering all sorts of wonderful little
This has
nuggets.
it's been a Christmas week for me, I tell you.
You've been discovering all sorts of cool little nuggets. This time it's with Google Keep. So tell us about your discovery of the day.
Well, what Chris is referring to is inking in Google Keep. I know. Say what? Yeah, that was my reaction too. But sometimes when our use cases dictate a change, as I mentioned earlier, in the hardware and the tools we use, we're sort of forced to give up our familiar apps, and we have to search for a replacement. Usually there's one or more out there. And one such instance for me was giving up my Apple Notes, which were crammed with about 1,000 notes in dozens of topical areas, and trying to use Google Keep with these. I went, wow. I don't know that I can do this. But anyway, adding to the dilemma, my mobile device of choice for meetings and travel nowadays is my Surface Pro. And I needed a notes app that allowed inking because I actually like the Surface Pro probably better than anything I've ever held a synthetic pen to. It just works. I mean, some people don't agree with that, but I do. I know Chris Spera thinks the same way.
I love digital inking.
So the other day I had Google Keep open on my Galaxy S23 Ultra. I had my little S Pen out and I'm playing around, and I saw an icon on Google Keep with a little pen. And I said, wait a minute, Google Keep has inking? Get out. Sure enough, I tap it, and not only does it have inking, but when you dig into it and then read about it, obviously other people found this while I was living under a rock somewhere, but it does an awesome job. In fact, it differentiates from my hand, my fingers, etc.
It's got palm ignore.
I can put my palm of my
awesome.
hand on the display of my Ultra or my Surface Pro while writing. It has a great selection of drawing tools, an eraser that I think might be better than the Slim Pen, and that's tough.
That's cool.
Overall, I could not find anything it couldn't do as well as my Surface Pro and my Slim Pen. So thank you, Google, for this, but that does not make us even. I'm still PO'd that you hijacked my contact photos.
Does it do it on all platforms, or does
it
only?
So far, the only two I have, Chris, that I can use it on is my Surface Pro 9 and my S23 Ultra, but it works perfectly with both of them.
What about their Mac or iOS versions?
I don't. Oh, you know what? Well, I don't have I don't have iPad. I don't have an iPad, so I can't.
I can check on the pen. I think it does work because I do have one, and I use Google. Keep.
But I would have expected, even if it worked, just to have some scaled down features. No, this thing's got a boatload of stuff with it.
Sure,
I'm impressed. I really am.
That's cool.
We're always finding stuff.
Absolutely.
I know.
And once again, we share it with our users. Why?
Because we like you.
Yeah.
Apparently,
well, the bottom line with this Google Keep thing, one more quick comment. A lot of us poo-poo Google Keep, but the more I read about it, a lot of people use this thing, and it's not bad at all. I have made it my go-to daily notes app, and I'm happy. I really am. I'm totally happy.
Yeah, keep in mind they do probably scan it like they do other stuff, and so some people might care. So it's important to bring it up.
That's true. It's a good point. But I've got it now on my Mac. It's a progressive web app up there. It works.
Yep. But you do need to know and understand that if you're using digital inking and that's most of your notes, you're probably going to have a safer time or experience with it in terms of scanning by Google, because then they have to OCR it first to get some level of. So if you're keeping handwritten notes, the chicken scratchier they are, the more private they're going to be.
That's probably true. That's a good point.
Yeah. So, but I want to go ahead and move us to our Windows segment. But before we do, we have a real quick and short message. Hi, this is Christopher Spera with iTechGear.org, and I'm here to tell you that iTechGear.org and the iTechGear Weekly are on Patreon. Patreon is a platform for creators, allowing them to express their creative side in an organized, marketable fashion and earn a living or create a really cool kind of side hustle. You can create a community around your hobby of choice. You can gain followers. You can get members and supporters all along the way. You can create subscription products that for a pledged amount every month, you'll provide to your members and followers. Setup is easy. Prices are reasonable, and you can have your pledges auto-deposited into an account of your choice every month. With iTechGear.org, our initial offering is a monthly newsletter for just $3 a month. This is our initial offering, and we'll have other tiers and other products and other offers up in the coming months. Become a patron of our site. Grow with us, and we'll provide you with the tech understanding that you're missing right now. Join us on Patreon at www.patreon.com/iTechGear. That's www.patreon.com/iTechGear. And welcome back to the iTechGear Weekly, episode number 70. I want to go ahead and move us into our Windows segment, and this is really something that I'm going to ask Larry to lead this next discussion. But this is for all of us, because we're all either are currently or have been in the past Surface users, Surface Pro users, or Surface device users. Surface specific tips. What are some things that you guys have found that we have all done and would really appreciate about this device and would recommend to other users to make a habit of? All right, and how to do that. So
I think all I'd like to do is just kind of open this up. You guys have probably used a Surface a lot longer than I have, but what I have found with the Surface Pro 8 and the Surface Pro 9 that I have had in the past few years, I just think in my heart of hearts, it's one of the best made PCs I can use. That may be a placebo effect, I don't know. But I think I enjoy a lot that I don't have to worry about the manufacturer's updates and firmware this. Everything gets updated by the mothership. Everything works. I flip that keyboard down over here next to me. Windows Hello looks at me. It turns on, and I'm ready to roll. I don't have to fiddle around.
I don't 100% agree in the sense that, and I've had a lot of these Surface devices.
Way more than I have.
I've had them, back since the beginning. I've had them even before they were, the pre-Windows, the pre-regular Windows when it was RT and all those other things. So I've had Surfaces for a long time, and I will say that in one sense, first of all, they're cleaner, right? We don't get the bloatware on them.
In terms of software that's installed,
right.
Yeah, they are
but I will say that for the fact that Microsoft controls all the parts, they often get problems with drivers that was unexpected, or updates that crashed the machine. And you would think they would do a better job of vetting that, considering they control end to end. I won't say it happens
better. Is it getting better maybe over time?
No, I don't say it's getting better over time, but I would say that it's not getting worse either.
I was going to say the same thing.
I wouldn't say it's not all the time either. I don't want to imply that it's a common thing, but I would say, just like with other devices, the biggest problem I see with any Windows devices are almost always driver or registry kind of thing related things. I mean, you do see driver issues from time to time on this, and again, it's probably because the components in it are not all Microsoft components. You're based on an Intel chipset or other sub chipsets, so you do run into problems once in a while. And Microsoft didn't. I think they don't always vet them the way they should, and I could say that's true about most of the Windows hardware vendors out there, quite frankly. But I don't think Microsoft's track record's any better, in my opinion. But having said that, what Microsoft has done, probably the only other company that's done it probably close to this is Lenovo, is to try to play with form factors in Windows and try to explore it a little bit and try to set kind of a reference idea of what things ought to look like. Lenovo is the only other company I can think of that really has spent a lot of time putting interesting designs out there and just seeing what sticks.
No, I would definitely agree.
The Surface Laptop Studio is a very good example. Of an unusual design, or the Surface Book. Remember the book? Oh my goodness!
Yes, I love. The book every day. I remember the Surface Book.
I mean, the Pro is the one that we all know. The Surface Pro is the one we all know and love. But they're all kind of in that thing. And I give Microsoft a lot of credit for having gotten us some interesting designs. And the one thing I would tell folks, if I was going to give them a tip, would be to say, if you find that we were talking about this in the pre-show, as a matter of fact, if you find that the keyboard is a little, first of all, get the keyboard. We all say get the keyboard.
Yeah. Get the signature keyboard.
Yep, get the signature keyboard. And the pen.
It comes with it. Yeah.
But if you find, you don't have to buy it with the pen though. You can buy the keyboard without the pen.
Right.
But the point is, if you get them, Get them both. And if it's too bouncy for you when it's clipped up, pull it forward a little bit, lie it flat on the desk. It'll be fine.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
that's something I do it all the time because I don't like it. It just bounces a little too much for me. Larry, you said you're very comfortable with it. For me, it was a little too bouncy.
Oh,
But
I notice it, but it's kind of like the crease. I'm over it. I mean, I get
gotcha,
over it
gotcha,
quickly.
gotcha.
Oh,
And
I still notice it. Yeah, I do.
and I use a you can get one or two mice to go with it that I would say you can either get the Surface Arc mouse, which is an interesting device, or you can get the Surface, I don't know what they call it, the Surface Modern mouse. Is that what they call it?
Yep,
And
that's
usually
it, I think.
they'll often have
Sounds
it
right.
with a color that'll match your keyboard, but they're both
Get a Logitech.
they're both
Surface Pro.
they're decent, but they're decent mice is what I wanted to point out.
Yeah.
We all like Logitechs as our personal kind of favorites for mice,
Yep.
but I tell you what, if you aren't going to go bad using either of those Surface mice either.
So the-
So
One other thing about a Surface, think about your use case. If you travel at all,
Yeah.
if you go to
Yep.
meetings, I don't
Yep.
think, I think it's even better than an iPad Pro. I've had an iPad Pro. I'm just saying it's a computer, and the iPad Pro is still not quite that. It's not a Mac. It will be in the
No,
end,
it's not a Mac.
but if you want a full-fledged operating system, I think this is the machine.
I think it depends what you're going to do. If you're mostly note taking, I'm much happier with the iPad because it's thinner and smaller. If you're gonna actually have to run apps, depending on the apps you're going to run, then I would say, yeah. My problem, the reason I hesitate with that a little bit, Larry, is because the Surface Pro 9 is actually thicker than the Surface Pro 8 rather than thinner. And the Surface Pro X, it's actually thicker than both of those. And to me, that was a little disappointing when they went and made it thicker. I missed the thinness of the X and the 8, and I kind of wish they would go back to that, because again, for me, it makes it more baggable. It makes it more iPad-like in its size and shape when you're carrying it. To me, this still feels like a laptop when I carry it. It's a little too thick. It's a little too thick to feel like a tablet when I'm carrying it. So
I disagree.
no. To me, it does. To me,
sure.
My MacBook Air is the same thickness as my Surface Pro 9. It really is. Are close enough that it doesn't matter. So to me, it becomes a toss up at that point. I want something thinner when I'm going to a remote office or something like that. iPad, my iPad wins because quite frankly, and I carry a mouse with the iPad.
Even with the keyboard case, it wins, Chris?
Yep. It absolutely does. It's thinner. It's absolutely thinner. And I carry it with me, and I'll tell you the use case. I use it a lot when I'm in the office even as well, because if I need to get to a proper Windows desktop, I use Microsoft's remote desktop protocol and launch that and connect to the PC that I need to connect to. And with a mouse, I'm good as if I'm on a lap as any Windows laptop. So for me, either works. But I love But having said that, and Chris and I have talked about this before. Chris and I have the 5G versions of the Surface Pro 9, and I love that portability. And that's one of the things I love with the iPad as well. I have a 5G connection in it. So that to me, is those are both winners. And I will say, I agree with you, Larry. I like penning on the iPad, and I like penning on the Surface Pro. I think they're both extremely good experiences. But again, the iPad Pro is a little thinner. So I don't feel like my hands being raised as much up in the air when I'm writing.
And I think all these points we're making, they're kind of little things, and
they are absolutely.
It's just one works for you, one works for me. But for me, we were talking again in the pre-show about the stand on the Surface Pro. I use this a lot in conference room meetings.
Yeah,
I
me
did
too.
not like that. I love the iPad keyboard, Magic Keyboard. Don't get me wrong. But I still like the form factor of the kickstand and the way this sits out in front of me, and I can change it. I can't change that iPad.
The thing about the Surface Pro versus the iPad and the Magic keyboard for iPad, there's only so much that on the Magic keyboard and iPad that you can tilt that screen.
That's what I just said, right?
But you know what? But I can't use
the Surface completely.
That's absolutely true. But I will say that iPad's easier to use on a lap than the Surface Pro is.
Oh yeah,
but in a conference room, I'm completely with you. I do agree. And by the way, I should point out that while we are doing this Zoom call tonight, I actually have my Surface Pro 9 hooked to my monitor, and I'm looking at the spreadsheet for our list of topics we're talking about in the Zoom window, all running on different screens. This Surface Pro 9 drives dang near any screen that I put it
It's
against.
got resolution out the
And the 5G and the 5G version has because it's ARM based, it also has the NPU. So I'm getting the audio filtering. I'm getting, if I want to go into the video, we've got the video filtering.
Absolutely.
All in hardware.
It drives my studio display just beautifully with 5G.
It really does. But this is it's a nice device. It's a really great device. Yeah, I can't complain about it. But as far as tips, keep it up to date, folks. We could argue about whether or not you should be on an insider build or not. I would say in general, no. If not, if you're gonna use it for your day-to-day production, don't put it on an insider build. Stay on the mainstream build. That'd be another tip. That'd be another tip for using Surface.
Yeah, your mileage may vary, but inquiring minds do want to know, are you going to bump into issues and problems, especially if you're on the Canary or Dev channels? Yes, you
are.
Things are going to be a little bit more polished in the beta channel. They will be near perfect in the release preview channel.
Yep.
All right. Yep. However, if you're wanting to stay super safe and make certain that nothing twists sideways, don't. All right. Like Chris is saying.
Yeah.
However, if you are comfortable with taking a little bit of risk and you like to see the new stuff early, then by all means jump on. This device or Surfaces are supported in every channel. All right. Mm-hmm. Even the Canary.
They are.
And the builds run very, very well. You just got to know and understand that if things twist sideways, you need to have that USB drive around that will help you rebuild, because if you don't, it's gonna suck being you.
And Microsoft does have the different various builds out there if you need them, on their website. So they're more consistent about that than other vendors in some ways. So there are some nice things. Again, you do get something by being on a Windows product, on a Microsoft product.
The only real tip that I have is, depending on how often you ink, how much you ink, especially with either the Surface Pen or the Slim Pen that Microsoft offers, either version 1 or 2, both will work with just about every Surface that's out there. You may want to consider a screensaver of some type. All right, writing on glass is a strange...
You mean a screen protector?
What did I say?
Screensaver. To me, that's what you put on when you want Windows to go to sleep.
I get you. All right, so a screen protector, yes.
Right.
You want to be able to go ahead and give yourself a little bit of a gritty, I think a gritty experience. Something.
Do you have one? Do you have one that you like?
Most of the. It's very difficult because the paper-like is the most popular that's out there, but I've found it very difficult to actually get them on there. The amount of grief that you've got to go through in getting something on a device screen that is that large is
without bubbles
is very, very difficult.
But bear in mind what Chris is telling you guys is it's an experience thing. It's not for protection, because Microsoft swears that you can use that pen forever and you'll never mark the screen.
I haven't found any. I haven't found a reason.
The only thing that I have to say about that is liar, liar, pants on fire.
Really?
Because I can look at that screen and see pen marks all over it.
Really?
Are you sure they aren't something you can just wipe off?
Pressing on it.
Yeah,
man.
I was gonna say, because I haven't had any trouble with mine.
Well, I'm not grinding my pen in, okay, but
I'm a light touch person.
But at the same time, I'm writing quickly. I'm writing fast. I am trying to keep up with what's going on in the meeting.
Sure.
I prefer to do that with a pen as opposed to typing.
Me too.
And if I'm telling you, I've got pen marks all over the screen, which is what's prompted me to go ahead and look for something that provided a protection for the screen
You sure it isn't just
Mhm.
notes and the smudging? Because I've seen
Yes.
that where you have to wipe it with a
Yes, I'm
with a
certain.
microfiber. Okay.
I'm
Huh.
certain because I have
I
microfiber cloths all over
oh
the
gotcha.
doggone place.
Yeah, I haven't
All
had any
right.
trouble with that, but I get you.
I
But
haven't
no,
either.
I have found that
Knock
it
Yeah,
is
me
a
either.
problem. It is a problem for me. I can see them. And so, and you don't want to, I don't want to have that on that screen. So, what I've done, and this is just a personal preference, I've bought a glass screen protector that I've placed over the top of my device. And then I've taken and gotten a paper-like, or a paper simulated sort of screen protector and placed it over that. So I have and it neither has taken away from the sensitivity on the screen. All right.
You don't see
Okay.
any
Okay.
bubbles and all that?
It was very difficult. I can't tell you how many I ran through.
Yeah.
But you really need to make certain that you are in as dust free of an environment as possible.
Yeah.
Number one, that
Right.
you wipe and wash the actual device screen. All right.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
use the appropriate, after you place it on there, before you really sort of mash everything in and squeak the bubbles out. When you find a bubble, look to see if there isn't a piece of dust or something that's causing that bubble. Lift it up, grab one of the sticker tools that they give you to pull the dust or what particle out, and then replace it down, and make certain that that bubble can come out now or doesn't show back up. But to do that twice
Yeah.
is hard.
I'll bet.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I
I would
found
agree.
but it has made the writing experience much better, number one. And number two, I know for a fact I'm not gonna mess up the screen now.
Right.
So
I
screen
may look
protector for
into
me is
that,
always
yeah.
a big deal.
The-
I'm also not worrying too much about the battery life of the actual pens. All right.
No. No.
On the
Yeah.
on the original Surface pen, the ones that you got with the Surface Books, or the anything before a Surface Pro 8,
Right.
which is when the Slim pen came out, was with the Surface generation of Surface Pro
Yeah.
8 and later. Those pens used a quad A battery.
They did.
All right.
They did.
And you can easily replace that. All right. For the Slim Pen 2, even though it is about $130, or was when I originally was looking for one, the prices may have come down a little bit. They're probably on sale now if you're looking for one. I just use it and don't worry about the
Well,
battery. I can't worry about the battery.
you
All right.
raised
Right.
another interesting thing though. So we've also talked about this as another tip kind of with these devices. The newer models all come with the Slim Pen, which is more like a drafter's pencil. If you're not
Yep.
familiar with that, they're
Yep.
flat.
Right.
They're flat. I don't find them that comfortable. I mean, I use mine. Don't get me wrong. If you don't like that, you can use the first generation Surface
Absolutely.
Pen, which
Absolutely.
is more
Yep.
like a standard pen or pencil in its shape and feel. So
Yes,
that you
and
have
it
some
does
choice there.
have the more advanced sensitivity.
Yeah.
And
So as a
Yep.
tip, if you're
yeah,
not comfortable with this, you do have a choice.
you
You
do,
know, I think
but
it
you
depends on how you grew up. I used to do a lot of woodworking, and I'm
Mhm.
used to the carpenter's pencil, and
Yeah.
that's what this feels like to me.
it does.
Yeah. And I know
Right.
a lot of people that prefer it just like you do, Larry. I do, but I'm not one of them. So, but I know a lot of people that are. So, yeah,
Yep.
absolutely. But I want to tell you guys, it's compatible. They're compatible across the board. So
Yep.
you can change out and use the old one if you're more comfortable with that. So
Yeah,
this is another sort of side tip.
sure. I also want to go ahead though and move us on, and I want to talk a little bit about the new outlook for Windows.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Larry,
Somebody. I don't know. I thought you liked
This
it,
is-
but then maybe not.
Well, this must be my night in the barrel, I guess. Outlook for Windows, or as I now like to think of this, oh, Microsoft, when will you ever learn? If by now you
won't.
haven't
They
tried
won't.
this app, if you haven't tried this app, I don't know why, because it's a living part of 23H2. So if you have an updated Windows 11 version running on your machine, you have got this app in there.
And they sure shove it in your face.
Oh, they do.
It's hard to avoid it.
Initially, as Joel was alluding to, initially I said, wow, this is cool. I like this. But the more I actually tried to use it day by day, it took me about 4 days to absolutely think it was a POS. Outlook for Windows, and they'd like you to fall in love with it. And so you'll stop dating the Windows Mail app. Let me tell you something, boys and girls, keep sleeping with the Mail app because it's a lot better. I don't use either one. I don't right now. I don't use Windows Mail, never have. And I surely won't be using this app until something changes. Let me tell you some of the goofy things that Microsoft has done with this app. First of all, the user interface on this thing is just fine. It's beautiful. I like it. It's a slimmed down look that you don't have the big ribbon to worry about. But like the terrible Windows Mail app it's trying to replace, the new one has some issues. Number one issue, it does not have a combined inbox.
Nope.
What's up with this, Microsoft? Everybody in the world has multiple email accounts. We need a combined inbox.
And we had it before.
You had it with Windows Mail. You had it, I mean, every $2 mail app in the App Store on either side of the planet has got an inbox like this. This just incenses me. So along with that problem, we have, and oh, by the way, while we're on that problem, if you are looking at your email in your email address number 1 box, that's all you can see. If you get a new email that comes in one of the other 4, you can't tell you got new email. So how do you even know? You have to open the darn thing just to see if you have new mail. Come on, Microsoft, that's just not right. Along that same line, most of us name our various email accounts like personal, work, iTechGear, whatever. But forget that with this new client, because you could do that with Windows Mail, but now you're stuck with the long name of your email client or your email address as your inbox name. That's it. I just don't get it. User interface, as I said, it's very nice if you're using a 27-inch monitor. But I also found I tried to squeeze some of this stuff down, and the UX won't let you do it. You can't make you can make the little bar on the left disappear like we always can or could with your folders and whatnot and your system folders, but you can only squeeze the inbox bar over so far. And that over so far point is about 1/2 of the width of my display.
Well, supposedly, if you pay for Office 365, they expand the available space for you.
Well, but that's not what they're making this to compete with. This is supposed to be a consumer thing that takes over.
No, but they'll say that at some point. It'll pop up. The other thing that you'll run into with this is as you use it, the new version, if you use it against a corporate account or something like that, it'll pop up your calendar and other things to the right of your mail messages, things that it never used to do. That's a whole new thing. And it's like, really? And I find it annoying in the sense that it actually makes the whole thing go much wider than I expected. So,
well, speaking of that,
I'm not used to that.
If you get the inbox taken up literally 45% of your display, and you can't shove that bar any further to the right in the middle, you just can't do it. That leaves you only about a little over half the display for your email itself.
True.
Well, guess what? It doesn't follow the size of the window. So you guessed it, you can't view all of your text. And scroll bar.
And what's crazy is very much, I get the sense that Microsoft's approach is that Outlook is supposed to sort of be your center for everything, 365. So there's tabs for the other apps. There's tabs for the other apps in the Office suite and things like that. They really want to throw everything in the kitchen sink into this thing. And I really wish companies would stop doing that. I don't
because the calendar's there, but the calendar sucks. You can't see it. I mean, it's just
I don't want Yeah, I don't want all-in-one apps. I'm not a big fan of these all-in-one, bundle it all in. It's too much for
No,
me.
I'm not
I,
either. Like Spark Mail and all that. It just
I,
doesn't work.
I want them separate. I want them broken down.
I
But
guess
they're
what
not doing that.
my biggest point is, didn't anyone beta test this damn thing? Or rhetorically speaking, does Microsoft even have a QA team?
Yeah,
Hello,
well,
hello.
Why would you say something like
this
that?
is not the first time we've asked that
You're
question
gonna get
either.
me going again.
Oh, good. Oh, good.
We definitely have been
there's
Because-
other issues with it, but they're
Damn.
personal ones. So I'm not going to lump them in there with these gross omissions. But the three things I mentioned are absolute egregious errors. They should have never have happened. But I guess when you take a serious look at this, you'll either like it or you'll hate it, and I'm going to bet you hate it.
Well,
yeah.
I will from a very cursory look. I mean, it is a lot lighter.
Oh yeah, no, I like the lightness part.
It is a lot easier to use in terms of.
And the popovers are great. In the inbox column, when you pop over all the different things you can configure, like the trash can or folders, that's nice. They did a really good job with that.
Yeah, I'm with you. I like the lightness and the fact that the email, the calendars, those are just really simple icons on the right, on the left now instead of on the bottom. I like all that. It is a clean look. It's a very modern look. But I got to tell you, trying to find certain things that I want to do, like I had to undo this whole lumping messages into one stream thing that they like to do. Some of that groupings I absolutely hate, and I had to undo some of those things.
Right.
And they're buried so far down now. It's very, very challenging to find them sometimes if you don't know where you're looking for. And I wish they wouldn't do that. So they clean up the top layer only to shove more crap, but they have to do something with the things that they cleaned up. So they shove it further down in the interface, and those things become harder to find. So to me, it's always a trade-off whenever they change the UI.
And the things they hide, Chris, they base that on what they think, not the users, what they think in some little rubber room in Redmond.
That's true. What they think people might want. They don't actually ask what we want.
No, let's don't ask.
Right. I do want to say though that this is meant for consumer use. It can be, like Chris was saying earlier, it can be used with a corporate account, but it's meant to be used in a consumer setting. It's only going to support it does not support combined inboxes. So don't think that you're going to get
that's the biggest thing for me there. I can't.
If you've got more than one email address that you're going to try to use with this, don't think that you can have everything delivered to one mailbox. It's not going to work that way.
And I want to say though, they are trying to blend the corporate app version with the consumer app version a bit. They're trying to make them more similar. And the corporate app version has gotten a recent overhaul as well. And I've had a lot of people I work with just kind of crabbing about it, going, well, I can't find this, I can't find that. That does, scheduling meetings doesn't work the way it used to work. There's a lot of things that changed, and it's frustrating some folks.
Said, I also have the corporate version on here. You can at least make that thing look like you want it to look size-wise on a Surface. Where you can't.
You can. But there are, again, the new corporate version is a little different. It's a little closer to what we're talking about here, and it has some challenges. And I just want to point out that they're all, that Microsoft has made similar mistakes with both products, or both interfaces, I should say.
I still say I was happier with Outlook Express than any mail app I ever had.
Liked Outlook Express. I miss it. It was very, very nice, very clean, very straightforward. I miss it a lot. Great app.
Anyway, moving on.
Yes, moving on. It may or may not be for you.
But it's there.
Larry will hopefully have an article for us on the things that he likes and hates about this particular new program up on the article within the next week or two, and we will be grateful to see that. But moving on, I want to go ahead.
Moving on.
I want to go ahead and move us to
what a bully.
I know. I'm such a content Nazi. I really am.
You are.
I know. So moving us on now to our pick of the week segment. Before we actually get into this, I want to take a moment just to let our listeners know that our show picks are typically hardware, software, and other items of interest that we have individually purchased and actually use, and that we like enough that we want to recommend them to you, our growing listener base. These are not paid advertisements or items that we have any kind of affiliated marketing relationship with. If they were, the editorial policy over at iTechGear.org indicates that we must disclose that up front. These are sincerely things that we believe in, and we want to bring them to you at the end of each show. Why?
Because we like
Because
you.
we like
As we
you.
like you.
Yes.
Again.
And this week is week number 2 in iTechGear's top 2023 Black Friday picks. And Larry, man, it is your week. So go ahead
Boy.
and let them fly.
I want a break next week.
You got it. You got it.
Black Friday, as Chris said, is upon us. It's past us, and Christmas is coming up, and all the deals are still out there. And it's something we've always said with our picks for the show, in addition to the fact that we really do buy these things, and we really use our own money, and we really like them, or we wouldn't have bought them. So that's exactly why we bring them to you. And sometimes they're not techie things. A couple of mine tonight actually are not. The first thing, though, when I left my iPhone world and started using the Galaxy, I couldn't use my my iPhone, my Apple Watch anymore. So I had to buy a Galaxy or a Galaxy Watch 6 Classic. Got that. And of course, I had to have the earbuds to probe that too. And then I looked around and said, well, now what am I going to charge all this stuff with? It's all Apple Mag stuff that I have. So
Yep.
I had to go buy a wireless charger. Found one on Amazon, highly rated. It's a wireless charger stand for the Samsung Galaxy Watch, the phone, and the earbuds. $28.79. That's a hell of a deal. And this thing is solid. I mean, it is beautiful. You'd think Belkin made it. And if Belkin did make it for Apple, it would cost $128 because that's exactly what it cost for the big Belkin one. So anyway, it'll hold the Z Flip, the Note. It'll hold all of the S series, the 6, 5, 4, 3 series of the watch. It's got a little T-plate design with silicone pads to protect your device from scratches. I don't know. It's small. It's compact in size. It travels well. It folds up, and it just looks and feels really nice for $28. Come on, that's just.
Do you like that?
That is really a good deal.
It is.
And another thing that I had to go buy recently was this was while I was still using my iPhone more. You know, with Apple's new, with my iPhone 15 Pro Max, of course, it's got a USB-C jack on the bottom, and we've lost that Lightning thing. But we all have a lot of Lightning stuff laying around, so we're going to have to get various and sundry types of adapters. Well, on Amazon, for a pack of 2 for $8.50, you can get 2 really good Lightning port to USB-C adapters. Now, these are the good kind. They make 2 kinds of adapters on Amazon. One's cheap and bad. One is cheap and good. Get the cheap and good ones. They're the ones that'll hold up to 240 watts, at least 100 watts, but that's probably plenty. But a lot of them now are going to 240, and a lot of them have a lot more data pass-through capability than some of the cheap ones. These are solid metal dongle things that just work well. I got a couple of them, and in fact, I've bought several more for different things in the house after the first buy. Third thing on the list, totally non-techie, but we live near Knoxville, Tennessee, and it's kind of an area. Joel probably gets a little bit of this, though he's about 6 or 7 hours north of me. You get a lot of early freezes and a lot of early unexpected frost, and if you see some of that coming, or if your weather guessers on your local channel are smart enough to figure it out and tell you, you might want to cover a couple of your precious plants up. I know we lost some last year. So this year I said, I'm not going to lose the new plants we bought. and I bought these reusable plant covers, the 3 of them, for like $13-14 on Amazon. I mean, who would have thought that something like that would save an expensive plant and all the labor it took to put it in? Great, great idea. And you can put them on, if you have outdoor things you don't want to bring in, like a flower pot. Brenda used one on a flower pot on the deck that it was just too heavy to bring in, but she didn't want to, she knew the freeze was going to be temporary. So we covered one of them up with that, took care of it. Again, not techie, but really, really cool. The next one also is not technology related, but it's something that served me really well. If you're like me, you have a lot of little things like those adapters and lots of thumb drives, and I have hundreds of things like that laying around. No place to put them. You can't throw them all in one drawer because then you don't know what's where. So I found this on Amazon, and if you look at it in the show notes, it's a well-made, beautiful little wooden thing with 4 drawers in it. It's kind of antique-y looking. It's got some French scribbling on it. I think on the left it says merchandise in French, and on the right it says buttons in French. So you can use it for anything. But I choose to put it on top of the desk, have one drawer full of little cables and stuff, and another drawer full of thumb drives or whatever. And it works well. And I've actually saved my favorite cheapo gift thing to last. And when you see this, if you don't need this, you're not normal, because everybody needs this. How often do we buy something with a bright LED light on it, and you put it in the bedroom? I don't care if it's your Apple TV, a charger, whatever. You're laying there trying to go to sleep, and you're looking at that bright light going, damn, why did they make that so bright? Well, we have a lot of toys in the house that just light this thing up at night. So I bought this. It's a couple of sheets of LED light blocking stickers. They block about 60 to 70% of the light, and they're not cheap looking. I mean, these things are well made. They come in tons of little sizes. You just pick them off real easily, and on an adhesive side of the sheet, and they leave the hole where they were. And you can put them over a little tiny thing, as much as a 1/16 of an inch circle, all the way up to a couple of inches. And one sheet is just an entire sheet. You can cut out whatever you want. I have one of these over a bright microwave clock, which is the 14th clock in my kitchen. I mean, it's not like what time it is in there. But I don't know. Our house at night used to look like a miniature version of the runways at JFK Airport. But
very nice.
It toned things down, and I use it on all my Apple TVs, my microwave, got a little dot on the bright dishwasher light, and several other appliances. Really a thoughtful gift for somebody. Anyway, that's it.
Well, that's awesome. That is awesome. Now, this particular article with links to all of the products that Larry has talked about is going to hit the site tomorrow, which is December 4th. So if you're interested in any of these things, look to the site then, and you should see it. It'll happen likely somewhere in the neighborhood of around either 6 or 8 a.m. Central Time. So there you go. But that, kids, has been the iTechGear Weekly, episode number 70. All I want for Christmas is a 32 gig stick. Recorded live Sunday, December 3rd, 2023. And for Dr. Mr. Larry McJunkin, Mr. Chris Gavula, and Brother Joe McLaughlin, I want to say that we will see you next time.